Hi guys, and welcome back to the Boldly Ambitious podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Liddy.
And I'm Hazal.
We're doctors, founders, and entrepreneurs in our 20s.
And this is a space for the ambitious girlies chasing big dreams and building bold lives. And guys, welcome to our final episode of 2025. Can you believe it?
Thank God.
Can you believe it?
Thank God. This has been a scary year. I'm so happy it's wrapping up.
I can't believe the podcast has lasted this long.
Same.
Honestly.
Same.
And can we talk about... we've done, high five. We've done quite well with the podcast.
Really well.
Guys, we charted.
Yeah,
Boldly
guys.
Ambitious podcast charted on UK top podcasts for like at least a week.
Yeah, we were like above Jay Shetty for a day.
And I know. And we were number 32 at one point.
Yeah, we started at top, it was top 133.
Yeah.
Then we went to like number 38.
Yeah.
Then we were at number 32.
Yeah.
It was actually sick.
I know. And I'm quite proud of us. We started 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
And we've released, this is the 16th episode and we've charted. So I think,
big us up.
Pat on the back. And also, it's a special day today.
Yes. Guess why, guys? I don't know if they can guess.
No, they can't guess. Today's my birthday. I'm officially 25.
25.
Joining the mid-20s group.
Crazy.
If I was now to go to X Factor for my singing skills.
You'd be in the over 25s
I'll be
category.
in the over 25. Yeah, I would be.
No, over
25s. Oh, I've got another year. Yeah. I need to apply this year.
Okay, let's come back. Let's come back.
Cool. But where's my happy... Are you not going to sing for me?
No, I'm definitely not going to sing for you.
Okay, fine. But anyway, guys, we want the next year, so 2026, to be even bigger and better for us and for you guys as well, which is essentially what this episode is about. But before we get into that, I want to touch on 2025 a little bit. What do you think needs to stay in 2025 when thinking about building a bigger, better life for yourself?
I think the types of things that should stay behind in 2025 for your 2026 to look bigger and better, I think first and foremost is definitely got to be productive procrastination. And I think that's, for those who may not be familiar with that concept, it's kind of the concept of planning for something. You're going to make this really big leap. You're going to finally apply to that thing, finally launch this thing. Planning, gathering information, doing research, but you never actually take action. And I think it's so much more easy to do this day and age because there is so much information out there, right? It's such a blessing compared to like our parents' generation.
Yeah.
You can go on TikTok, how to buy a house, like where to start with saving. You can go on YouTube, how to get into this career. You can go on ChatGPT, start planning your business. But I think because there's so much information and there's so many options, it can get you stuck in a place where you think you're being productive because you're doing all the research and you feel like you're taking all the right steps, but you're never actually taking the step that moves the needle. So I think that's a big one that needs to stay in 2025 because I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of pages in our notes app of things that we want to release or things that we want to do, but it never sees the light of day. It never comes to fruition. Right. And I think you just need to kind of make a decision for yourself in 2026 to finally take the leap. You're never ever going to feel ready. There's no such thing as being 100% ready. I think 50%, 70% is enough, even 20% if you want. And then you just dive straight in. When we think about this podcast, for example, I don't even think we were 30% ready.
Guys, I think we were just about 15%.
We didn't even know what we were doing, but I think we were just like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah,
we just got to
figure it
start
out along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a very painful, uncomfortable, difficult process to look like a beginner and to look like a beginner publicly. It feels embarrassing. You don't want to be seen failing or whatever because everyone has this great aversion to failure, which, if anything, is kind of a necessary ingredient for success. But I think you just got to think long term. Like long term, is this temporary fear, temporary discomfort worth me sacrificing a potential future where I'm healthier, happier, and more fulfilled? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I also think, guys, I think I'm speaking to myself when I say this as well. We got to drop the excuses. We got to drop the excuses, and what I mean by that is, Liddy,
was that definitely too passionate?
And I think especially like excuses you've outgrown. Like if there's something you want to do, a new habit you want to pick up, a new adventure you want to go down, constantly saying stuff like, this isn't for people like me, or I can't do this because of XYZ, I can't make time for it, or what are other people going to think? All these different things that essentially are excuses that are stopping you from really reaching or just starting something that you want to start. It doesn't mean it's going to change your life. It doesn't mean you're going to do it consistently. You might start it and you might not enjoy it, but the whole point is we need to actually start. Like kind of similar to what you're saying, essentially. We need to get to step one and then we can continue if we want to. But if you keep having those excuses of the ones I mentioned, and there's like 100 more excuses in the book, you're never going to get to step 1, let alone thinking about what's going to happen at step 10.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's going to come to the end of 2026 and you're going to be like, oh no, the year didn't go well, and start victimizing yourself. Obviously, there's real problems and real things that happen. I don't take that away. But for the ones where you're in situations that are genuinely avoidable, you can't blame anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
If it comes to end of 2026 and you're in the same position you were in, because I always say this, but if nothing changes, nothing will change, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely agree.
And I feel like for the girlies watching this pod, like, we're all boldly ambitious, right? We all have huge dreams and things we want to achieve, but you can't achieve those things if they just stay in your head. You can't achieve those things if you don't take action. And taking action isn't easy. There's a lot of different... You're going against the grain by taking action, but that's the whole point. And like you said, it would be very upsetting if we get to the end of 2026, this time next year, and we ask you guys to reflect on last year and you didn't achieve all the things you wanted to achieve because of yourself not taking action. I'm not saying other things might not come in the way and there won't be hurdles, but try to do everything you can to make your dreams happen, because no one else is going to fight for your dreams but yourself.
Yeah, like, you want to come to the end of the year and be like, I tried my best.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I actually tried my best.
Literally.
Like, we have there's a video coming out on our Instagram page. If you guys don't already follow it, at Lady and Hazal.
It's really good.
On our main Instagram page, not our podcast page, about the fact that I didn't achieve like any of my New Year's resolutions this year. Do you know what I mean? Like when the year started, I did not know that I'd be dealing with like, grief, bereavement, just like trauma at work, different things going on. But in December 31st, I can say with chest, I tried my best. I genuinely tried my best, and things didn't work out how I thought they'd work out. But it is what it is. I'm not going to blame myself if I worked at my maximal capacity and the outcomes I got was the outcomes I got. So yeah, you just want to be in that position where you tried your best, and regardless of the outcome that occurs, because there's many things we can't control, you can feel satisfied and confident within yourself, knowing that, you can trust yourself to show up when you need to.
Yeah. I'm going to say something controversial again.
Go on.
You guys have to drop those friends. You need to drop those friends that are not supporting you, that are not helping you become the person you want to become. Like, if I told you guys right now, close your eyes and think about a friend who genuinely isn't helping you improve the different areas of your life and is dragging you down, someone's probably going to pop into your head. If they don't, I'm really happy for you. But if they do, think about what is it worth sacrificing everything else to keep this person in your life if they are genuinely draining you and not helping you become the person you want to become. Like, at the end of the day, we're getting into our mid-20s now. Sorry.
Calm down, I'm still in my early 20s.
We're getting into our mid-20s now, and at one point we need to stop and reflect on, is it worth it? Is this friendship worth it? And if it's not, it can be very difficult. I know this firsthand. It's very difficult to let go of friendships when you've built that connection, but you want yourself to do well and we want you to do well as well. And sometimes you need to do the difficult things, so that the difficult thing of letting go of that friendship, so that 10 years down the line, you're not in the same place where they're still dragging you down, they're still discouraging you, they're still telling you can't do this.
Yeah, for those of you thinking like, what is friendship got to do with this? Like, why has it been relevant? Genuinely, guys, community matters so much. I think, as two people who we never had networks, we never had a roadmap. We literally didn't really start with much, but we're able to build like such a significant life for ourselves, and we continue to do so. Community and connection matters so much. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And it's not just about networking professionally to get this opportunity and that opportunity. It's also about having really good people around you that will pour into you. And I think too many people underestimate the importance of community. Not only have I seen the importance of community on my good days, where my friends have been there to give me advice, to, give me ideas I never even thought I had, opportunities and stuff like that. When I think about Faye, she was on this podcast when we were a bit unsure about where to direct our brand after medical school. We'd been doing study tube content for so long. One of the things she said was, like your background, you guys came from XYZ and you've built XYZ. Why don't you lean into that? And I think that really spurred what Boldly Ambitious went on to be and what it is today, through a conversation with someone who cares for us, wants the best for us, wants to nurture our ambition and talent so that we can go to places just as they're going to places, right? community is just so important. It's so pivotal, it's so significant. But I've also seen importance of community even on my bad days. Like, obviously, I touched on this earlier, but dealing with like losing a parent this year, the way my community showed up for me was absolutely beautiful. Crazy. Like, if I think about it too much, it actually brings me to tears. Like, people who, you know, I've lost a lot of relationships this year with family, friends, XYZ, but it's like the friends around me became my family. And it wasn't just best friends I've had since primary and stuff like that. Like, it was genuinely my content creator friends, my church friends, like pockets of people who you didn't even know have love for you and care for you. They can pour into you as well. It's not just about the resources, it's also about the love, the encouragement, all of those different factors. So yeah, definitely don't underestimate community in 2026. If you have people around you who, you know, don't actually care for you, aren't really there for you, and I don't need to read you a list. Like, when you know, you know. Some of you guys are ignoring your gut. When you know, you know. It's not worth dragging them into different seasons of your life. Like, sometimes you need to shed people in order to be the version that can handle the new season coming and the new blessings coming. And shedding includes like bad friendships, poor relationships, XYZ, where possible. I know it's not always possible to cut people off, but you can always distance and limit access.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is why reflecting is so important before going into a new year, because you need to reflect on, it's like sort of like schoolwork, right? What went well, even better if. And you don't necessarily need to sit down and write it down, but I guess it is a good practice, but I'm not going to take my own advice. But just having a moment of reflection of, you know, if I look back at the last 12 months, you can do it month by month if you find it difficult to reflect on a whole year at a given time. But month by month, sort of what went well, what am I happy about, and what would I have liked to have happened differently, and how can I make sure that happens next year? And by doing these reflections, the new year is actually a new year, and it's not just another new day, right? And some people feel like it's a lot of pressure, like it's a new year, it's the first year of the first day of the new year, like I need to become a whole new changed person. And it doesn't have to be such a drastic change, but you need to know what to change to make those changes, even if it happens across weeks and months.
Exactly. No, I completely love what you said. I feel like, I'll be honest, people who I've seen who are super successful or have gone on to do amazing things, I feel like success comes hand in hand with reflection. It's that whole thing of continually wanting to get better, continually wanting to learn and better yourself and refine your craft. That can't happen if you're not taking a moment to just pause and reflect, or pause and think about, okay, what's going well, what's not going well. I think academia high-key ate with that, you know, EBI, what, WWW, you know, whenever you hand in homework or tests and you need to reflect.
The red pen and
so
the green
important
pen.
Because how can you know what to fix if you're not actually analysing the things going wrong? Literally, me and my little sister were having this conversation this morning where we were like, there's just some people who are okay with being a certain way, complaining about the fact that they're a certain way, but they're happy to not change because at this point you're choosing not to reflect. You're choosing not to be like, okay, why do I keep finding myself in this situation, and what can I do to change it? And if you're not going to reflect, no change will happen. And then you're going to see 5 years down, decades down, you are the exact same person in certain aspects of your life because you never wanted to improve, because you wasn't willing to reflect. And I think some people are scared of reflection because it requires you to have a level of emotional depth or a level of accountability.
Definitely.
And I don't think everyone's ready for accountability. But without accountability, how are you going to, like I said, better yourself and get closer to those big dreams of yours? How are you going to be boldly ambitious without accountability and reflection?
I think accountability and reflection is really hard though, especially when upon reflection, the reason why some of your dreams didn't happen is because of yourself. Like, sometimes you need to point the finger at yourself, and that's hard. No one wants to blame themselves for not being able to achieve their dreams, but it doesn't have to be as cutthroat as that. But also it can be just like, okay, this didn't happen and this is why, but I want to make it different for next year. And I guess it all comes down to how bad do you want it? How bad do you want the dreams you're striving for, the goals you're striving for? Because if you want it bad enough, even if it hurts, you will change those things if you can, to then make sure the same things don't happen in the next year.
Yeah, and I also think as well, like, if you're kind of thinking, where do I start if I want to start being reflective or accountable, there's a lot of reflective prompts just online. There's blogs, there's reflective journals. I know that some people host like vision board classes and things like that, a workshop, towards the end of the year to kind of support you in getting ready for the new year. And I think one thing that's really useful as well is asking for feedback to those around you, whether it's your siblings, your parents, your friends, people who spend time with you, just asking for feedback, like, hey, what are your thoughts on like this, or like what are your thoughts on my character this year, or on a certain aspect of your life. A lot of people don't want to hear feedback, they want to avoid it because it doesn't make you feel good and stuff like that. But I would just encourage you to refine the way you're thinking and see feedback as an opportunity to be better.
Definitely, because I think some people fear change, but change is beautiful. Like you know, when like you reflect on something from 5 years ago and you're like, you're embarrassed by it almost, right? I think that's a positive thing, because it means in those 5 years you have changed and you have adapted and you've become more authentic with your true self and the person you want to become. And I think that's why reflection links with that as well, because the more you reflect, the more you're able to sort of fine-tune the different aspects of your life, which would mean in years to come you'll look back at yourself from, like, let's say 2025, like let's say in 2030, if you're looking back at 2025, you don't want to be the same person. But that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think for some people it's hard to have a good relationship with change. I think it's weird because I feel like I'm someone who I always want to better myself. So in some way I want to change, right?
But then you don't
I don't see it as change. I just see it as I want to better myself. I associate change with like something bad, like with bad things happening. Things are changing badly, and I don't know, maybe it's the trauma response, guys, from the year I've had. But I'm in therapy, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I guess it's about reframing your mind and seeing even the act of being better or choosing to be ambitious or choosing to learn, to develop, to grow is change as well. Change is not just when bad things happen, when it's heartbreak or whatever. Like, change is this big spectrum. And I think, yeah, it's just about refining the relationship you have with it, whether that's through just mindfulness, therapy, or informing yourself. You know, more information helps you be less scared of things you may not understand.
To make things a bit more practical, if you're thinking, how do you actually make that intentional shift in your identity to then become the woman you want to become in 2026, we're going to give you an example on how you can actually make that shift. First of all, I think we all need to understand the importance of having a new identity and how that links to your goals and ambitions, because you can't pick up new habits without changing your thought process behind why these habits are important. So first, you need to think about the characteristics you want to have in this new year that link to the new identity you want to have. And then you can think about the habits that link to those characteristics that can then help you achieve the goals you want to achieve.
Let's say that one of the characteristics you want to implement in the new year is good time management. A habit that you can implement associated with that can be getting a planner, organizing your time throughout the week so that you have a better understanding of where your time is going and plan your activities accordingly.
So if the girlies at home are thinking, how should they set up routines, habits and structures so 2026 doesn't rely on motivation alone, what would you tell them?
Well, I need to have a bit of a think about this one. What would you tell them?
I tell you that, first of all, you need to understand the importance of motivation initially, because you need to want to do something, right? Whether it's a new goal or a new habit you want to pick up, you need to have that drive inside to want to do it. But you also need to understand that that drive won't always be there, especially if you're having a difficult day, you've had a long day at work and you're coming back and you're not going to have the sort of the drive inside to get up and do 3 more hours of work towards this new goal you want to start building. And that's why you need to have systems in place so that when you don't have the drive and the motivation, those systems can still keep you productive and efficient. For example, let's say one of your new goals, resolutions, just like every other person, is to start going to the gym, right? The system you can put in place could be that if you're tired after work, you have a place at home where you could do a home workout rather than going to the gym, in which way you still stay fit and you still keep to your goal, but it's not necessarily driving 30 minutes to the gym after a long day at work. But similarly, you can sign up to a gym that's closer to home, let's say a 5-minute drive away rather than a 30-minute drive away, to sort of, lower the barrier of entry to achieving that goal, especially when you're having a difficult day, because goals rely on emotion, but I feel like systems rely on structure. And once you have structure in place, it's much more easier to almost accept that thing as a non-negotiable. Like, there's some things we do in life on a day-to-day basis that even if we don't really want to do it, we do it because it's almost become a norm now. You can't go to bed that day without getting that done. And you want to try and make these new goals and new habits as part of your daily routine as much as possible, so that even on those difficult days, even on those bad days, or even if it doesn't have to be a bad day, you just don't have motivation that day, you can still get it done because it's almost second nature.
Yeah. And I think if we actually contextualize it to our lives as doctors, founders, and entrepreneurs in our 20s, I would say that how I do it in my life is, so with gym, I make sure that my gym bag is packed the night before. Because if it's not packed the night before and I need to pack it in the morning at 6 a.m. before I head to the gym, I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm going to go back to bed
Liddy's a gym girly
and snooze. Do you get what I mean? And you know, if I look at the podcast, for example, with making sure that we've kind of prepared our prompts for the episodes we have to film, we try and ensure that we send each other our respective episodes, the ones that we're going to be leading, a week, like minimum a week before we're due to film. And that's because we know that if we leave it to the day before, you know, let's prepare episodes the day before we film, that type of stress, or it's not going to get done, and we'll have to cancel the session. So that's how we've put in place, okay, we're going to send each other our respective episodes a week before, and there's also that element of accountability. So that's something in our system for that particular thing.
And actually, can I just add to that as well? Obviously we've been creating content for 7 years now, and we used to always just, because we check each other's posts before they go out, and we used to always just send it to each other the night before, and we did that for such a long time, but we didn't realize how much of an inefficient system that was, because things can change, people might not be free that night before, and then it will just delay the posting schedule for the upcoming days. But now we do this thing where we send our content the weekend prior to all the other content coming out. So it gives each of us enough time to actually go through it and make sure that we're happy with it before the posts come out. And actually, it makes both of us, I'd say, more efficient and more productive as well. And that's a way that we've been able to almost automate our posting system, so that it lowers the barrier of entry and reduces the friction with the posting.
Exactly. So when people ask us, like, how have you guys been so motivated to do content for 6 years plus? It's not motivation. Like, we just have like lots of systems in place to ensure that we almost can't not be this
like
on
non-negotiable.
it. And then it comes to a point where you've been doing it for so long, it becomes second nature. That doesn't mean editing after an 8-hour hospital shift doesn't get tiring. It definitely does. But because I'm so used to it, it's kind of difficult for me if I miss a day to miss 3 days, because I'm so used to doing it now. So you want to put enough systems in place where consistency no longer becomes taxing, you know? But don't be afraid to have to put those systems in place initially. You're not superhuman. You know, it's just one of those things you need to do initially when you're getting used to something. So I don't know what that is for you in your professional life, uni, your academic life, your personal life, but that's an example of how we do it. So you kind of need to think, how can I, it's a term I really love, lower the barrier of entry. How can I make it easier for me to do this thing? The less barriers you put between you and a task, the more likely you are to do it. So it's just about getting rid of all those barriers that are showing up in the form of excuses to prevent you from starting to put certain habits, systems and things in place to become a better version of yourself in 2026.
Yeah, I think definitely sort of building a bare minimum, like what a bare minimum week looks like for you is a really good idea. Like, I think the gym example again is quite useful. Let's say you would like to go to the gym 5 times a week, but the bare minimum is 2 times a week. So you know that even if you've had a really tough week at work, you still need to hit that bare minimum. And
that's literally me right now. Like, my bare minimum is once a week now. Do you get what I mean? Like,
and I'm proud of you.
I would ideally love to go 3 times a week, and I was doing that in November, but it's December. I'm ready to hibernate. I'm so tired that I can just about do once a week. And where I'd normally guilt trip myself, I'm just like, you know what, at least I'm going. This is not a defining factor of my discipline. I have many areas of my life where I'm very disciplined and more consistent than this. So if I'm in a season of bare minimums, or this particular week is a bare minimum week, it is what it is. Better to do the bare minimum than to do nothing at all and fall off completely.
Try to automate your life as much as you can. And it doesn't always have to be sort of through like technology, but even like having your gym bag always prepped the night before. It's like an automated way of making sure things are ready. So in the morning, you can just go. You don't have to think about it. For example, you can also automate, like if you want to increase your savings this year, automate your investing sort of process, so that there's a direct debit into your investments every week or every month, and so you don't have to think about it. It's just a task that happens. You can also, if you want to eat healthier this year, you can, every Sunday is a meal prep day. You know, you can put these things in place so that every week you don't have to, or every month you don't have to think about these tasks actively, but it's sort of second nature and it just happens, rather than having to always have the energy and the thought process to go through it time and time again.
How do you automate your life?
I feel like there's a few different ways I do it. So first of all, with the savings, there's a direct debit for my savings that comes out every month. I didn't think about it. It just happens. And then one day I look at my bank account and I'm like, oh, it's been taken out. So that's one way that it definitely helps me with my spending habits and with my savings. Another way I do it is this is going to sound really silly, but I pack my bag, my lunch, and what I'm going to wear to work the next day, the day before. So that means that it clears out my whole morning for any small tasks I might have to do.
Why is that silly?
I don't know. It just feels like a little kid. Like I packed my bag and my clothes the night before. Maybe it's not silly.
Are you meant to iron your clothes in the morning of work? Like,
no. Are you? Is this your way of trying to validate me, but in a mean way?
No, I'm just saying, what's the norm for this to be silly?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like putting out my clothes the night before felt kind of silly. Well, it works for me.
Okay.
Why are you judging me? I thought this was a safe space.
No, I'm judging.
Guys, this is not a safe space.
No, I was just trying to like figure out what you thought was silly specifically.
Really?
That's it,
Because I pick out which one of my scrubs I'm going to wear the night before, and I leave it next to my bed.
I think that's actually a really productive and
I know.
disciplined. So why is it silly then?
Maybe this is my own thoughts. Maybe I need to do some reflection.
Okay. I was just interested to figure out what was going on up there.
But that way, first of all, it means I can maximize how much time I spend in bed because I like to sleep as much as I can. And it means that I can wake up a little later. But it also means my mornings, I don't have to, it's not a high stress moment in the mornings. I can take my time and also do any small tasks I need to do. And it's actually helped me be a lot more productive because now my tasks, like any important task, doesn't have to wait until 5 p.m. when I finish work. I can get it done in the like half an hour, 45 minutes I have in the morning because there is nothing else to do with my time, if that makes sense. So those are just a few examples where I've sort of, I don't know if the right word is automate, but I'm just going to use the word anyway, automated sort of tasks in my life, which means that I am more productive and more efficient with my time. So I'm going to actually throw the question back at you. What systems has been most pivotal for you this year that you'll be taking into the next year?
Hands down, no hesitation, planning my week the week before. I take planning my week so seriously, guys. Like since maybe when we were in year 12, 17 years old.
I want to say, year 12,
16,
definitely.
16 years old.
I have like memories of us planning out.
Because you know it is. Genuinely, you can, I do not believe that you can change your life dramatically without a high level of intentionality, strategy, and organization. Whether it was because we wanted to get into medical school or we wanted to start a successful side hustle or launch in different business ventures, you need to have a really high level of organization, strategy, and time management. And that cannot occur if you do not know where your time is going because you don't have a baseline tool for organization. So whether it's been physical planners or digital calendars, I like knowing what's coming in my week. If things need to shift because life happens, it doesn't, unless it's a dramatic life change or unexpected event, it doesn't really move me as much when it comes to my discipline and things I need to get done because I've planned my time in a way that permits for changes. And when I say that, I mean, I know what days I have work, I know what days I'm off, and I can invest in my side hustles or other projects or ventures I want to do. But I also know what days I have off, what days that if for whatever reason I cannot do XYZ project on a Friday, okay, maybe I'm free Saturday morning. I know what days I'm social, what days I need to go meet people, or I need to network. So it's just about having, like, if you don't control your time's going to control you. If you don't know your priorities, someone else is going to give you your priorities. So because of the fact that I'm so on it with my with just hyper visibility of where my time is going throughout the week, and to some extent throughout the month and throughout the quarter, it means that I can actively and intentionally build the life I want with no excuses because I'm making time for it, you know?
And can I ask, how do you actually plan your week? Like what do you use? What tools do you use? Apps do you use?
Gladly. So first thing first, if anything comes up, whether it's like a friend has a birthday thing or there's a networking event I want to go to, or, you know, there's a podcast episode at the end of the month, whatever it is, I always add it to my calendar, my iCal on my iPhone. Okay. I always add it in as a reminder or as a note. Do you get what I mean? And then on Sundays, when I used to have a physical planner, which now I don't have as much because I'm working, so everything's kind of on my phone. But when I used to have physical planner, I'd open my physical planner on a Sunday and I'd look at the week ahead. Monday to Sunday is empty at the moment, my physical planner. Then I'd go on my phone, okay, what non-negotiables do I have? Okay, I have uni or I have work Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5. I put that in. Do I have any deadlines coming up? At this point of my life, the deadline is going to be associated with content creation rather than assignments. I'll put in, okay, deadline due this day in my calendar. Okay, so if the deadline's due on Friday, what day should I work on it? Okay, Monday, I have 2 hours after work, I slide it in. Okay, I have content pieces that need to come out twice this week. I make a note of that. Release content piece this week. Okay, cool. I want to go to the gym. When can I go to the gym? Let me slide in gym in the morning, because I know on my way to work I can wake up a bit early and head to gym. I know myself. After work I will not go to the gym. I've tried it and it didn't work. You know, you have to trial, error and fail to know things about yourself. So I'll put it in the early part of the day. And then I try not to fill up every single piece of like gaps of where I'm doing nothing. That means that if a friend messages me Monday evening like, hey, do you want to FaceTime? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm free tomorrow at 3 or something. Or if an opportunity comes up and you know sometimes we get those emails like, hey, do you want to get involved in this? 24 hours to get back to us.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Like I can slide in, okay, I've got nothing to do after 6 today, 1 hour of admin. So that's kind of how I plan my time. I put in reminders as things come along, and then it means when I sit down before I begin a week, I know how to structure things. I know my non-negotiables like eating, cooking, going to work, and then I also leave gaps for just breathing space, flexibility, and other reminders that come up.
So do you keep is there like planner on your calendar essentially? Your calendar app?
Yeah, right now everything's on my iCal and it's disgusting. There's boxes everywhere. I always have something to do. But I do want to go back to physical planners in the future. So when I go back to physical planners, that's what it will look like. And that's what it looked like for me for a majority of my adult life, because I was at uni up until last year. So that's kind of my recommended method. Yeah.
And I use my calendar as well as my notes page. Like I do like a to-do list for each day on my notes page, the weekend prior, and then if anything comes up I can always move it around. The reason I didn't like physical planners as much is because, sorry to tell you, Liddy, but you just can't move things around, and then as soon as something changes you have to cross it out, and I like things to be neat. Best. So when it's digital you can obviously move it around as much as you need, so that's what really helped me. But guys, going into a week, every time I would go into a week without planning it, week is chaos. I can't even tell you what happened that week. That's why.
So imagine not planning it at all. That just means your life is chaos, right?
If you guys are enjoying this episode so far and listening on an audio platform, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. Today we're filming in the Myriad Studios in London. So if you're looking for a podcast filming space yourself, make sure to check them out. So let's talk a bit about standards. How do the standards you hold yourself to shape your outcomes, your identity, and essentially your life?
I think that's a really good question, because I think more people need to have higher standards, especially if you consider yourself as someone who's ambitious and wants to go for big things in life. In regards to how my standards shape different areas of my life, I think when you carry yourself in a way where you're like, okay, I know my worth and I know kind of what I deserve in this life, what I'm going after, kind of, you know, characteristics of myself that make me amazing and make me competent. When you kind of lead with that energy, I think it demands that energy from other people. So it, to some extent, does influence the way other people treat you, whether it's the way other people respect you, other people speak to you, how other people treat your time and your energy. When you know what you're saying yes and no to, when you know where to put your foot down, what to tolerate, not tolerate, other people follow suit. That's just how it is. If you're someone who's comfortable, people walking all over you, speaking down at you, not respecting your time, and you continuously allow that to happen, then that just becomes the baseline. The way you carry yourself and the standards you kind of lead your life with is very, very important.
And I also think that's sort of standards from a perspective of how you carry yourself and therefore how people treat you as well. But then there's also standards you have for yourself of how you actually use your time. So sort of the things we've mentioned earlier on in this episode of create standards or have standards for how you're going to plan your week and how you're going to use your time and how much effort you're going to put into each of your different goals and habits, because that way I feel like once you have standards, it sort of sets the precedent for what the bare minimum is, like what we mentioned earlier, both with how you treat yourself and your time, but also in then doing that how people treat you as well. So I think standards is something that not many people touch on, but it's something we implicitly all have, whether we know it or not. And if it's something you don't put much thought or effort into, unfortunately, your lack of standards will show both in how much you're able to sort of accomplish and achieve, but also how other people treat you as well. And I'm not saying necessarily if you don't have standards that everything's nothing good is going to happen, but it sort of sets the standard, or sets the sort of baseline for how different things happen. And
can you expand on that though? I don't. Like, what do you mean by
like, I feel like
achievements, accomplishments? Like, go into that a bit more.
I feel like if so, for example, if you don't have standards for yourself of how to keep yourself accountable, how to plan your time and how to work towards certain things, it will mean that because you don't set those almost baselines for yourself, time will just slip away and those things won't happen. And when you look back, you can't even say, oh, I didn't hold myself to my standard because there was no standard, right? But if you do have that standard or that bare minimum or that threshold that you need to reach, even if you don't reach it, you can look back and say, oh, it didn't happen. Oh, I didn't reach this certain goal because I didn't put in enough effort, or I didn't have the right resources, or I didn't have the right mindset. But if you don't have the standard there, things will sort of, time will pass and you won't even recognize that certain things haven't happened or why they haven't happened, because you didn't have a certain sort of framework to begin with.
I think outside of time as well, whether it's like if you want a community that pours into you and refines you so that you get closer to your goals, you need to have standards for intentional friendships or for relationships where there's respect and love and honor. You know, if you are someone who you know, you see people online announce certain things like, oh, they got a dream brand deal or they're in a dream relationship. They had standards for it. They didn't just accept any brand deal that appeared in the email. You know, we're quite strict with what we say yes and no to. So when we share things that we're like, oh, we're doing this, it's not because we're lucky. It's because we had standards. We knew what to accept and what we were willing to do. Certain relationships that look like relationship goals, X, Y, Z, if they truly are outside of social media, they had certain standards for what they were willing to accept in a relationship. And that's why it's reflected in the type of relationship they have. People aren't just lucky. They work hard and they have standards. They stick to their standards and they ensure that people coming into their lives or opportunities coming into their lives honor those standards as well. That's how you build a life that has a certain level of discipline, respect, and excellence. Do you get what I mean? You need to have a certain standard of excellence for yourself and for the type of things you're demanding from those around you. And I don't think it makes you selective or picky or all those things. I mean, if it does, that's not an insult within itself.
Yeah.
But if it means that you get closer to your dream life, it's 100% worth it and something that you should definitely look at putting in place. It's not the easiest thing to do, especially if by nature or by character you're a bit more non-confrontational, or a bit avoidant, because having standards will mean a certain element of making other people uncomfortable and letting them know what you're doing is making me uncomfortable, or you know, if you don't, it's not, it doesn't have to be an explicit conversation, but people will just know that if I approach this individual this way, I will just disappear, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not even just about relationships, it's about certain opportunities, or, you know, I remember last week I was on a sales call with a potential client for my personal branding consultancy, and putting the finances of it to the side, the individual approached me with a level of disrespect I wasn't willing to accept. And they were like, oh yeah, please follow up with a proposal. I may be interested and I have the budget for this. Regardless of the budget, regardless of your interest, I'm not willing to work with someone that doesn't respect me and my craft.
Yeah.
I didn't follow up. There's nothing more to be said, you know?
They're still waiting.
I didn't have to confront him about it. He just simply did not hear from me. And I think it's just about having that type of, to some extent, some strictness, you know, some, you know,
discipline towards
yourself and what you're willing to accept. And other people will just start to understand, I'm not going to play around here, or I'm not going to attempt this. People will still attempt, but when they attempt, they find out.
Yeah, and then they won't attempt
and then they won't
again.
try again.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just about walking in that way. And yeah, like I was saying before I kind of digress there, it's not easy sometimes if you're a non-confrontational person, but I think you always just need to think about what is the trade-off. If I don't put this in place, what am I sacrificing? Am I sacrificing good relationships? Am I sacrificing feeling good about myself? Am I sacrificing my self-esteem? It's not something that'll come overnight if you're someone who struggles with that. I think self-love podcasts should really help self-love creators. One of the things I love is Self-Obsessed by Tam Core. I really love that podcast. I think it really is very encouraging. It's really uplifting, really pours into you. Being around people who are like, you know, you're that girl, like you deserve the respect, you deserve to be, you know, in whatever capacity. Being around people who just big you up and motivate you in that way. And I also think as well, like resources like books are good as well. There's this book, The Art of Not Giving an F. I think is really, really good. And there's another one as well about, you know, F being humble, but it talks about just the importance of being able to back yourself. I think things like that you really need to just push you forward and allow you to walk into all that life has for you.
Before we wrap up this episode, let's give the girlies some tips they can use to practically make 2026 different. If you're thinking like Lydia and Hazel, I want to make the next year different, but I don't know where to start, grab a pen and paper, we got you. First of all, just sit down and you need a life admin reset, whether it be finances, whether it be work, whether it be your goals. Like, do you even know what your goals for 2026 are for you to be working on them? So sit down. I don't know if it has to be pen and paper or your phone, whatever it has to be, sit down and look at the different aspects of your life, what you like about each aspect, what you'd like to do better, and what needs to change for it to be better in the next year.
I'd say the second thing is an environmental declutter or a decluttering of your environment. I think you kind of just need to, where there's a lot of mess and just a lot of things going on, you just need to break it down into something that's a bit more simplified. If in the physical aspect, if your room is a mess, if things are everywhere, you're not able to organize yourself for work, for uni, for gym, just simplify things. Just clean the room. Be in a new space that encourages inspiration, that encourages, you know, a sense of a place where you can kind of reset at the end of the day. That's super important. If it's your phone, if your apps are everywhere, your notes are everywhere, just organize things into files. On your laptop, organize things into files, put things in place. I think people underestimate how just cleaning up your digital or physical environment really just helps you in feeling a bit more fresh, feeling like there is space for new, for the new, especially in this new season we'll go into in 2026. You want to make space for the new. You want to better yourself. You want to invite things into your life. So make space for that. I'd go as far as saying decluttering relationships as well. If there's just some people who are around you, whether it's even, I'm not going to go into friendship and relationships, even at work, they're just some colleagues who maybe instead of pouring into you, you just feel like every time you interact with them, they kind of drain you. Every time you give a bit of information, a bit of access, you end up regretting it. Declutter. Detach, learn to limit people's access and information to you, because the more information you give out, the more justification you need to do with where you're spending your time, who you want it to be. So just protect your energy a bit more. Is there anything else I could add to kind of that decluttering?
I think you covered it all.
Yeah, I think I would say that's the main thing.
Next, you need to change your content diet. So consume things that are actually going to help you get to that next stage of your life, whether it be podcasts, whether it be books, whether it even be music. I used to love putting sort of words of affirmations as my screen cover on my phone, especially when I was in university. But whatever it is you need to see and consume on a daily basis that will help you sort of reaffirm those small things and help you get to that next stage of your life through your different habits and systems and goals. And finally, I'd say not in depth, but just have a brief plan for each month, each quarter and each year, just so you have a brief understanding of what you want to achieve or what you want to experience in each of those different sort of segments of time. But most importantly, I'd say momentum builds slowly and gradually, but as long as you keep adding slowly to each of your goals and your habits, eventually you'll get to the stage you want to get to. But if you don't start at all, you will never get to the end stage. So as long as you are doing, you know what they say, 1% better each day, as long as you are doing that consistently, you will eventually be able to get to that end goal. It's finally time to wrap up this beautiful podcast episode. Liddy, as you know, we do a Dear Ambitious Girlies segment at the end of each podcast. What would you like to say to the girlies?
Dear Ambitious Girlies, lead your life in a way where at the end of 2026, you can tell yourself, I did my very best. So that regardless of what the outcomes are, if you achieved everything, if you may not have achieved everything, you can still be really proud of the type of woman you were.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Dear ambitious girlies, we've said this before already in this podcast episode, but if nothing changes, nothing will change. So whatever you need to do, put yourself in the right mindset to, even if it's just one goal you want to work towards in the next 365 days, put your all into it so that something does change by the end of next year. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I feel like it was a really good one. What do you think?
Yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll be sure to see you guys for a new episode next year. But before we do that, make sure you like, comment, share, follow us on our social media platforms at Boldly Ambitious Pod, and also at Lydia and Hazal as well. And yeah, thank you guys for all your support that you've given us this year of Boldly Ambitious. We didn't think we'd still be doing it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Just continue to cheer us on, and hopefully we can continue to bring you guys really good episodes as well.
I'm really excited for next year.
For sure. Amazing.
Thank you guys.
Bye.